Alright, so our ancient ancestors from the past can build a 450-foot tall pyramid with 2.3 million blocks weighing 2 tons each, okay, that would be difficult to replicate today with even our modern-day equipment, carve beautiful designs into granite while conducting some of the most beautiful masonry work mankind has ever known, megalithic structures, beautiful tombs, technologies, hieroglyphs, just overall making civilization a better place. The list goes on and on and on. But apparently, okay, this past civilization, well, they can't dig a deep hole. Although in the late 1800s, men with nothing more than shovels, a pickaxe, and a can-do attitude, okay, it's known as the WoodingDean Well, they were digging holes nearly 1,400 feet back in the late 1800s, but I digress. Okay, so basically, some random guy pulled up a water chart of the Giza Plateau that says 50 feet. Now everyone thinks it's impossible for these cylindrical structures to go down that far. This is the world we live in. You have doers and you have thinkers. The people of ancient Egypt, they were doers. They got things done. Things that may seem impossible for us even today. The people of ancient Egypt were absolutely brilliant, okay? Hardworking, resilient, innovative, resourceful, motivated, and they got things done. So what makes you think they couldn't dig a hole going down approximately 2,000 feet deep? Which, by the way, I think it's probably about half of that, according to what I've researched. And this is fairly easy to do with basic tools and a lot of labor, okay? So why is it so unreasonable to think that they have these massive holes with cylinders? I think it's very plausible. Okay, so moving forward. Now, again, I've heard a lot of really intelligent people in this field say that the pyramids are not ceremonial or ritualistic, but they are industrial. And that's exactly what I think this is. I think these cylinders have a purpose, and it's something mechanical. So if these cylinders do, in fact, go down 2,000 feet deep, again, I think it's like 1,500, well, they would probably hit water on the first or second day of digging at about 50 feet. And of course, you have the Nile River. You also have the modern day drainage that's seeping into the earth. So I just don't think it's very accurate to use modern day aquatic charts or current water tables to determine what the ancient Egyptians did or did not do years ago. In fact, I've seen a few videos showing these ancient water charts in even areas like the Great Sphinx showing signs of water erosion. So the truth is, we have no idea what was going on thousands and thousands of years ago subterranean. Okay, so I started thinking about it. What is the deepest well ever dug by human hands with no machines, no equipment, nothing modern, just, like I said, just some elbow grease and a can-do attitude, and it's called the WoodingDean Water Well. It's about 1,300 feet deep in a town off the eastern outskirts of Brighton, UK, okay? It was excavated between 1858 and 1862. It took them about 4 years, so it was estimated they would only need to dig about 400 feet, but when they reached the goal of 400 feet deep, there was no water. So what did they do? I think they did something similar to what they did at the pyramids of Giza. They dug tunnels going out in all different directions, searching for water and continuing to dig further down. And by the way, it took them about 4 years to dig, this deep, but they didn't have the massive workforce that ancient Egypt would have had. So back then, okay, in the late 1800s, they were digging wells almost as deep as the current cylinders under the pyramid of Khafre. So, to go 2,000 feet deep, it's very plausible in my opinion, even with a water table, especially when you have an army of people at your disposal like the kings of the past absolutely had. You could literally run 24-hour shifts with multiple crews, and of course, it's common knowledge that our ancestors have been living underground for generations. One of the biggest examples of this, it's right here. The largest known ancient underground city is located in Turkey, which could have housed up to 20,000 people, their livestock, extending to a depth of approximately 85 meters, 280 feet, with multiple levels. And this has been going on since the beginning of time. The ancient European Indo culture, and many others using basic hand tools in the 8th and 7th century BCE built an entire underground city. So again, this is nothing new. And they did this in Turkey, okay, just years and years and years ago, regardless of the water tables and other natural obstacles. Okay, so and take a wild guess. Okay, here's the cool part. Take a wild guess at what the water table is in this particular area in Turkey. 50 feet, the same as Giza. So again, it's been done throughout our history, but somehow they were able to come up with solutions and solve this problem in order to build massive, complicated networks of tunnels and rooms, complete with housing, lives, everything imaginable underground. Even today, we see modern examples of these underground civilizations all throughout the world. Even right here in Houston, where I live, we have an entire underground city under the city. It's very common. You know, just one quick example, Montreal, the underground city, RESO. The network spans 32 kilometers, 20 miles of tunnels. Path into Toronto is the largest underground shopping complex in the world. 371,600 square meters, or 4 million square feet. So, in other words, our ancient ancestors have been digging and living under the surface since the beginning of time. There is an entire subterranean world right beneath your feet, and there has been as far as time goes. So, I would even say, you know, post and pre-biblical days. We're talking Moses in tunnels, okay? I mean, people just looking for water in a small town went nearly 1,500 feet deep, you know, with picks and a couple of shovels. So, you know, look, I could show you countless examples of this being done throughout the world, throughout our history, throughout time, and the water table there was about the same as Giza. So I don't think it's totally ridiculous, okay, that they could make it approximately 1,500 to 2,000 feet, you know, in the times of the pyramid. Not only that, just full of innovative ideas and new technologies for the time. It's just a proven fact at this point. Again, they were carving things into granite that we cannot replicate today. You know, these megalithic structures that would be hard for us to move today, or impossible. Pyramids. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So, you know, look, it would take millions of dollars of equipment, machines. So what makes you think that they couldn't dig a hole underground? Okay, that is the whole point of my video today. I want to drill that point home because I'm just so tired of hearing it on the internet. Okay, now furthermore, in terms of the SAR, the satellite technology, they're now basically running a test on different known sites around the world in order to prove that this particular scan of the Khafre Pyramid is accurate. And I love that they're doing this. So scanning pyramids where we know certain chambers exist to prove that, you know, what they're telling us is accurate. Okay, then looking at the results, and they line up perfectly above and underground. So, you know, they have been and are currently running multiple tests that supports the theory that there is something underneath the pyramid. So I think it's 100% plausible to come to the conclusion that the people of ancient Egypt can dig a deep hole. And this is how I see it. If the ancient Egyptians could build these massive pyramid structures, the Great Sphinx, again, the hieroglyphics, these beautiful carvings out of, you know, some of the hardest stone on the planet, like granite, for example, you know, why would you think for 1 second they couldn't build something underground? In my opinion, it is absolutely ridiculous, okay? I think far too often we look at people from the past as some type of inferior, you know, unintelligent cavemen with copper chisels and, you know, rocks fashioned into hammers, like cavemen with basic hand tools, when in fact, they were incredibly sophisticated, intelligent, and very resourceful. And let me just add this, by the way, congratulations if you made it to the end. I know, you know, we have the attention span of an gnat, myself included, okay? But I was going to include, like, maybe the top 10 deepest holes, you know, going back, you know, 1,000 years or whatever. But you guys get the point. They're out there just like the well, you know, we talked about in the video. That's number one. Number two, I like that they're using the exact same satellite technology and they're scanning known geological areas that they say, okay, we got 5 tunnels, 2 chambers, let's scan it and let's see if we can see that. And it lines up perfect, okay? They literally scanned the Great Pyramid of Giza next to the Khafre Pyramid because we know, for the most part, what's in there, and it lined up perfect, okay? They scanned some like volcanoes and other, tunnel systems throughout the globe, and, proving that this technology is reliable and it is accurate. Now, are there going to be mistakes made? Absolutely. This is a new discovery, and they're going to have to make some adjustments. It needs to be peer reviewed, okay? Now, I would love to see that. A group of really smart people going over the data and, just breaking it down under a microscope. But that's coming next, and that will happen. And at a bare minimum, we're going to walk away with a new discovery. Now, is it going to be like this ancient alien style, pyramid with rocket engines at the bottom? No, I don't think so. But this is an amazing discovery nonetheless. So, all right, leave a comment below. Let me know, what do you think? What do you think? Is it possible to dig, 1,000, 2,000 feet under the pyramid? Number one. Number two, do you trust this technology? Because, the more I research, the more that they have me convinced.